Welcome back, children. Let us start with the line-wise paraphrasing of Act 3, Scene 1 of The Tempest. The scene opens with Ferdinand carrying wood willingly to prove his love for Miranda. So here we see Ferdinand is carrying logs of wood in order to prove that he loves Miranda. This is in contrast with the curses which accompanied Caliban's toil at the beginning of the preceding scene. So in the preceding scene we see Caliban, he is working hard carrying the logs of wood, but he gets all the scoldings from Prospero. The love between Ferdinand and Miranda is part of the play's larger pattern of atonement and reconciliation. Atonement is, again, it means reconciliation of man with God through the life and suffering of Jesus Christ. And reconciliation is to come to terms, to settle. The purity and innocence of their love, it atones for the suspicions, hostilities and betrayals of their father's generation. So it brings this, their love, makes amends for all the suspicion and the hatred and the betrayal that was in their father's generation. And Prospero is seen here in his godlike role, overseeing two of the creatures carrying out his design. So he looks at both of them carrying out his designs. Scene 1, before Prospero's cell. Enter Ferdinand bearing a log. So the scene begins in front of Prospero's cell and we see that Ferdinand is carrying a log of wood. So Ferdinand says, "There be some sports are painful and their labor delight in them sets off." So he says there are certain kinds of physical labor which are very painful, but the pleasure which they offer, it compensates for the hard work that is involved in them. Some kinds of baseness means there are some kinds of humble employments or humble occupations that are nobly undergone, that is, which are very noble when you undertake them or when you do them. And most poor matters point to rich ends, and a large number of humble tasks, they aim at noble and good results. This my mean task would be as heavy to me as odious. He says that this task, this humble task which I am performing of carrying these logs of wood would be very tiring. As heavy means tiring, to me as odious as well as hateful. But the mistress which I serve quickens what's dead and makes my labors pleasure. But the mistress for whose sake I am doing all this, she lends a strong interest to the task, which itself is very dull, and in this way makes my labors pleasures. That is, in this way my labor, my hard work is turned into joy. It gives me joy. Oh, she is 10 times more gentle than her father's crabbed. So he says, well, this woman, this mistress, she is 10 times more gentle than a father who is very harsh natured, and he is composed of harshness. Her father, that is, he is referring to Prospero, is a very harsh man. He is full of harshness. I must remove some thousands of these logs and pile them up. He says that I have been ordered to carry several thousands of these logs of wood and pile them up upon a sore injunction. That is, if I do not do this, then a severe punishment will be inflicted on me. My sweet mistress weeps when she sees me work. He says, well, my sweet mistress, she weeps out of sympathy for me when she sees me doing this work, and says such baseness had never light executor. And she tells me that such a base, such a lowly a task was never before performed by anyone as noble as myself. I forget, but these sweet thoughts do even refresh my labors, most busy least when I do it. So he says, I am forgetting my work in pausing to think about that beautiful girl. But these sweet thoughts about her make my hard work very light, because I feel most free from any worry when I am engaged upon this labor. Enter Miranda and Prospero at a distance. Unseen. Miranda, alas, now I pray you. She says, alas, now I appeal to you. Work not so hard. So don't work so hard. I would the lightning had burnt up those logs that you are enjoined to pile. She says, I wish, would means I wish, lightning had fallen and burnt up those logs which you have been ordered by my father to carry and pile up. Pray, set it down and rest you. She says, I request you, put down this log and rest yourself. When this burns, it will weep for having wearied you. So she says that when this log is burnt to make the fire, the moisture that will come out from the burning wood, it would seem to be the tears of sympathy which this log will shed for having made you thus tired. My father is hard at study. So she says that my father at present he is busy doing his studies. Pray you, I request you, rest yourself. I request you that this moment you take some rest. He's safe for these 3 hours. So she says that there is no danger from him, because for the next 3 hours he is going to be busy with his studies. Ferdinand, O most dear mistress, he says, my dearest mistress, the sun will set before I shall discharge what I must strive to do. So he says that, my dearest mistress, in order to complete the work that has been assigned to me, I must work till sunset without taking any rest. Miranda, if you will sit down, I will bear your logs the while. She says, if you sit down to take some rest, I shall carry your logs during that time. Pray, give me that. She says, I request you, give me that log of wood. I'll carry it to the pile. I shall carry it to the pile instead of you. Ferdinand, no precious creature. He says, no, my dearest precious lady. I had rather crack my sinews. He says, I would rather prefer to break my muscles, break my back and break my back than you should such dishonor undergo while I sit lazy by. And I would rather prefer to allow my muscles and my back to break and split than to allow you to perform this cheap, dishonorable work while I sit and rest in a lazy manner. Miranda, it would become me as well as it does you. So she says that this work will suit me as much as it suits you, and I should do it with much more ease. And she says that I shall be able to perform it with greater ease, for my goodwill is to it and yours it is against. I shall be able to do it easily because I shall be doing it wholeheartedly, while you are doing it against your will. Prospero aside. Now Prospero is invisible to both of them. He watches both of them and he speaks. Poor worm, thou art infected, he says to his, addressing his daughter. Poor creature, thou art infected. That means you have been infected with the disease of love. This visitation shows it. He says that this visit of yours to Ferdinand is a clear proof of that of the disease, that is, you have been infected with love. Miranda, she continues, unaware of her father watching them. You look wearily, she says, you look very tired. Ferdinand, no, noble mistress, 'tis fresh morning with me when you are at night. So he says, no, noble mistress, when you are in my company, even the night seems to be as bright as morning. I do beseech you, he says, I request you, chiefly that I might set it in my prayers. What is your name? She says that I do request you to tell me your name. And why I'm asking your name is my chief reason, main reason in trying to know your name is that I would like to make use of it in my prayers. So what is your name? So please tell me what your name is. Miranda, Miranda, oh my father, I have broke your hest to say so. So she tells Ferdinand, my name is Miranda, and then she realizes that her father had told her not to tell anybody her name. So she says, oh my father, in revealing my name, I have broken my promise. Thank you. In my next video, I'll continue with the further line-wise paraphrasing of scene 1 of Act 3.